Welcome to a Toast to the Men Network with your guy, S.D. Booker. Thanks for joining me. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Hit that like button, it's free. Tyre Nichols. Rest in peace to Tyre Nichols. Tragic situation. Senseless, it appears, senseless killing of a young man by the hands of the police. Just an update. Tyre Nichols is a black man, and that plays a significant point in why I'm mentioning that. Tyre Nichols is a black man who was beaten by the hands of 5 black officers. Now, there's been speculation and there's been conflicting reports that a white officer was involved at some point in the beginning. But I know for a fact 5 black officers have been charged and fired for beating and eventually killing Tyre Nichols. Tyre took a hell of a beating and succumbed to his injuries 3 days later. Of course, you got Ben Crump on the scene, representing the family, going for those funds. But I want to look at this, of course, from an objective view, 360 view. Try to stay respectful, but honest about this situation. You know, I don't know if I've ever heard of a situation where a group of black cops have killed a black person. Maybe it's happened. I just can't say I've heard of it. You know, usually in these situations, there are white cops as a black victim. But contrary to belief, a lot of white men get killed too at the hands of police officers. That goes unreported. We can debate why that goes unreported. I think it's intentional by the powers that be, so white men are not looked at as victims, and to sensationalize black men getting abused by the police. But a lot of white men get abused and killed by the police, believe it or not. Just do your research. But Tyre Nichols, reports and information is still coming out as to what happened, as to what led up to this brother being beaten and eventually dying from his injuries 3 days later. There's all kind of rumors out there. There's, the lines are blurred as to why he was even pulled over. We do know at some point, the white officer yelled at him, stop, or put your hands behind your back, I'll blow your effing head off. We do know at some point, Tyre escaped the grasp of the officers and attempted to run and was caught. And from there, they proceeded to beat him. We know that. We do know that he had to go to the hospital. We do know that he succumbed to his injuries. We don't know exactly what led up to that point. We don't know if these officers intentionally tried to kill this man. Was it murder? Was it manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter? We don't know the intent. Those are going to be the questions that need to be answered. Intent, motive, and what was Tyre doing that before it led up to that point? And people may say it doesn't matter. Everything matters. Does it justify this brother getting beaten and eventually dying? No. But we have to know all the facts of what happened, what led up to this point, because I'll be honest, I have a hard time believing like you were doing nothing. You initiated nothing. You did nothing. You said nothing online, nothing. And you were pulled over and just beaten. I have a hard time believing that 5 to 7 officers were in concert and of the same mind in doing this. Does it justify? No. Him being beaten like that and killed? No. But I'd just like to know all the facts. And so I think it'll come out. I think the facts will come out and we'll get to the bottom of it. But I think just looking at this from a 360 view, man, we have a huge problem. A lot of police officers have insecurities, have a complex of battery get low, have a complex and don't know how to handle power. And they take advantage of that power. They misuse the power. And the power is in the badge, in the gun. There's nothing within them. It's everything outside of them. That's where the power lies. And the power grows bigger when they're with a group. With a group of officers, they get a wolf pack mentality. They get a mob-like, a gang-like mentality. And a lot of times things can get out of control because of that pack, that wolf pack, that gang-like, that mob-like mentality. When in groups, things get out of control. And this can happen in all walks of life, not just with officers, with frat brothers, with homeboys, with white-collar men going out for the night, with entrepreneurs. Of course, you have different levels of it. It's not always violence, but I've seen white-collar brothers, white men and black men, in groups, and you mix that with alcohol, get this mob-like, wolf pack-like mentality, and become bullies. I've seen it. So I've seen it in all walks of life. And most of us, I think 99.9% of us, are different when we're solo dolo opposed to when we're in a group and we're in a pack. A lot of us get our confidence or get our energy from that pack, from that group. And we're totally different when we're by ourselves. I'm telling you, man, when I was young, I grew up in a gang-infested neighborhood, and you may have problems with these brothers when they were together, clicked up, ganged up. But if you saw these dudes by themselves, there was no issue. Sometimes they didn't even want to look your way. But there was a lot to say when they're with their group. And that's the same with police officers, that mentality. That's the same with people of all walks of life. And that's something we got to be cognizant of, that wolf pack gang-like mentality, especially when you got a badge and a gun and you have the judicial system, the political system on your side as well. You're sworn in to serve and protect. You're a public servant. So you work for the people. And I think that's been lost in translation, that police officers work for the people. If Tyre, by all accounts, it looks as though he was a tax-paying citizen. He's paying, or he's contributing to the salary of these officers. The officers are to serve and protect him. And that just didn't happen. Now, to be fair, we don't know what led up to that, but I can't see anything being justified, if this brother didn't have a weapon, if he wasn't a threat. But just with his hands and feet, for that to take place, yeah, I don't see the justification. But if this brother had a gun and they were struggling to remove the gun, I get it. But it appears he didn't have that. That was not the situation. So, I just can't find the justification. But I like to look at things from an objective perspective so we can learn from it. If I have my mind set just one way and I'm not trying to hear anything else, we can't make adjustments. We can't learn. So I think that's very important. It's been said that these officers, these black officers, were fired fairly quickly. And people don't believe this would have happened if these officers were white. They don't believe they would have been fired so fast. I don't know. We don't know. That's speculation. We don't know. But it was quick. I don't know what kind of investigation was done. It was quick. So we just got an issue all around, man, with distrust Cynicism, race, there's a huge issue in the U.S. In that, man, we don't trust each other. We don't trust the political system. We don't trust the judicial system. And this isn't, every person, but, the whites don't trust the blacks don't trust the whites. And this isn't every person, of course, but in general, I believe that's an issue. And so, what we got to get to the point where we see each other as spirits. And that's going to be a challenge. That's one of our main challenges on this earth, is to get past the color scheme, the color dynamic, the race issue, and really see each other as spirits, and start collaborating, connecting with, and disconnecting with people who are not of the same spirit, of the same mind, regardless of race. And that's a huge challenge for all of us. But if we can get to that point, you'll start seeing a separation of people who should not be together, regardless of race, and you'll start seeing a collaboration, a wholeness of people who should be together, regardless of race and skin color. But as long as we keep focusing on race and religion, these superficial things, these outer things, man, we're going to always have discourse amongst each other, always. And it doesn't help. I know this may not be popular, but it doesn't help. We have people like Ben Crump, inflaming the situation. Ben Crump is a ambulance chaser. He shows up when a black person is perceived or alleged to be abused or killed by police officers. And that's how he makes his money. Yeah, no doubt about it. He's getting his cut. I don't think it's genuine, because Ben Crump is connected, politically connected. And if he really cared, if it really wasn't about the money, if he really cared, he would be pushing policy change, and he could do it. He could do it. He has connections, he has support, he has the manpower behind him to push for policy change, to push for change in policing. But if that change occurred, we would have less lawsuits, we would have less litigation, and that would affect his bottom line. That would affect the cut he receives. There wouldn't be so many lawsuits. It's like the doctor. If the doctor actually gave you a cure for certain diseases, that affects his bottom line. That affects his salary, his money. If the mechanic and the dentist, and we could go on and on. If they actually did what they know to do to resolve your issues for good, that will affect their salary, their bottom line. And so it's a band-aid, and it's a lot of pandering and patronizing, coddling, and just putting the wool over your eyes. But brothers like that don't care, and it'll be somebody else. He'll get his good run for 5 to 15 years, and someone else will come in place to take his place to make that money. But man, we gotta wise up. We gotta wise up. We gotta hold each other accountable. Hold these police accountable. None of us know actually what happened. Hold them accountable though. Hold if it comes out that Tyre did do something, to an extent we gotta hold him accountable. Now, like I said, if he didn't have a weapon and their lives were not in danger, I don't see the justification of it getting to that point. But I'll be honest, I wouldn't be shocked if it comes out that the brother had something in the system. That's usually how this plays out. But even with that, did it take him getting beat like that? Did it take for him to die 3 days later? I just don't see the justification in that. I just don't see how the brother couldn't have been subdued by 5 to 7 officers. Yeah, I ain't digging that. But to an extent, we got to remove emotions and just think logically and say, okay, how can we avoid this again? And it's going to take the people. It's not going to take people like Ben Crump to change policy, to put pressure on the government, on the policymakers. It's going to take the people. And it's going to take the people holding citizens accountable. You know, there needs to be a two-way respect. The officers should respect the citizens should respect the officers. And that's just the way it goes. And officers need to be reminded that they work for the public, that they are public servants. That really gets lost. And this power, this badge, this weapon really blows up their ego. And they forget that they're public servants and they work for the people. But it's going to take the people getting that thing back on track, getting things back in order. Yeah, we got to stand up. So we don't know what actually happened, but it's definitely going to come out. I believe that. There's been reports that Tyre was sleeping with one of the officers, his first name Demetrius, sleeping with his wife or ex-wife at their job at FedEx. And this was all set up and calculated. You know, right now there's more gossip and hearsay than anything. We don't know. But if that's the case, that's sad. It's a sad day that, you know, man lost his life over some vagina. And not only that, the 5 to 7 men were in concert and dealing with this man over some vagina. You know, there was nobody to say, hey man, you tripping. Hey man, we can't do this. Hey man, she ain't worth it. Your life is worth more. Your freedom is worth more. Hey man, this ain't right. If that's the case, that it's a sad day. But I'm not shocked. If that is the case, I'm not shocked. This stuff happens. You know, police officers are a reflection of society. They're just like me and you and people you know. They're a reflection of society. So you got weak brothers on the police force. You got strong brothers. You got simps. You know, you got everything a reflection of society. So I'm not shocked. I don't put officers up here. I don't put anybody above me. Nobody's above reproach. Nobody is above doing anything I'm capable of doing or you're capable of doing. So yeah, you know, I don't hold anybody with these titles more accountable than I hold myself. Not at all. Not at all. So I hope this brother finds peace. I hope his family finds peace and some resolution and some answers as to what really happened. And I know this isn't a popular sentiment, but there's going to be a lesson that these officers can learn too. I know right now, you know, people don't have any sympathy, any empathy. But I'm telling you, when you get in that mob-like, that group-like mentality, and that energy starts going, and that testosterone starts heightening, many of us, I can't say all, many of us are capable of doing some horrific things in that wolf-like pack, that wolf pack-like grouping, with that mentality. So it happens all the time. But it just takes one person to say, hey man, this isn't right. Let's not do this. And just to fight that ego, fight that dark energy. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, you know, there's some lessons to be learned. There's always a lesson to be learned. But hopefully those lessons are learned and we can become better people. As always, from me to you, toasters, love, peace.